for
This
the
conference will now be recorded.
for the ink cartridge or whatever it was, like 4 books for the ink cartridge. Can you go over that again, like that top part, just the raw materials of how we would break that down?
I'll come back to that after we do this.
Okay.
I'm gonna come back to it. Not on a schedule today, are you?
No, sir.
No, I'm just asking. So, okay, this is the problem here that we've been working on. And we're just gonna spend the first part of the period talking about it. And we've said that in this problem, there are 2 ink cartridges at 20. There were 3 labor hours at 12, which gave us 36. We calculated a POR to be 4, and we multiplied that by the labor productivity. We got 12. So our unit cost is 68. Are there any questions on that? Now, our selling price multiple was 3. And what I've had some people to do is that they get that selling price multiple and they divide it into the unit cost. Half of the people who do that had a correct unit cost, but when they get ready to get the selling price, they divide it, and half of them had a wrong cost, they still divide. For the selling price multiple, you multiply because you got to make a product. So is that clear to everybody now? The selling price multiple is multiplied times the unit cost to get the selling price. The selling price has to exceed the cost. Is that clear to everybody now? Because there were too many people to count who were doing that. And so, once again, it's a communication thing. We're teaching like this. And so sometimes, I'm assuming and you're assuming. But once again, that's why I spent my time grading those, because I wanted to see, well, what were people missing? Well, people were missing multiplying cost times selling price. It's POR. Then, are there any questions on that now? Is there any question on how to get this POR? Can everybody get the POR? I'm getting ready to call on somebody. Can everybody get this POR? Who will be the sacrificial lamb today to calculate the POR? So once again, we have raw materials, 10 times 220. Hopefully everybody can get that. Then we have direct labor, 3 times 12, 36. Then the unit manufacturing overhead cost that we're going to assign, we're going to multiply it by that with that same labor productivity times the POR. How did we get 4? How did we get 4? All right, Mendez, tell them how we got 4.
I'm sorry, Professor. I'm looking at the assignment you just assigned us. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm just being honest.
All right, Ty will tell us how we got 4 there. See, I told y'all. Yeah.
Okay. To get the POR, we need the labor productivity, we need the overhead, and we need the quantity. First of all, we get the total overhead, which is 600,000. Then the quantity is 50,000. The productivity rate, which was given, it said 3 hours per book at $12. So that's 3. So because it said number of hours for 1 book, so it's going to be 50,000, the quantity, times labor rate, which is 3. That gives us 150,000. Now the POR is going to be the overhead. That's the total overhead divided by the labor hour, which is going to be 4. So we need the overhead, we need the quantity, we need the labor rate. So the difficult part, which is not difficult, is whether we're going to multiply or whether we're going to do. So if it's saying number of hours per book, then you're going to multiply. If it's saying number of books per hour, you are going to divide.
So in this so here we are, total overhead. The first thing on that line for the is total overhead. Second thing is the total quantity, 600,000, 50,000. Third thing is labor productivity. As Taiwo indicated, in this case, it's 3 hours per book. So we multiply to get this 150. Then we divide 4 into 1 or 1 by 4 to get 4 to POR. We bring that 4 right here, multiplied by the productivity to get the unit overhead cost. Does everybody see that now? If I can release this quiz now, and y'all ready? For 10 minutes on the quiz, y'all ready?
First of all, you gave us 15 last time, and
Well, nobody
we
said
didn't do
anything.
well.
Nobody said anything, so I assume y'all
Are
ready.
all of the quizzes going to be basic like this, or is it going to be difficult like you did last time?
I'm just messing with y'all down with me.
Okay, you don't have to verify because you can't be doing us like that.
Okay.
Is that score on this quiz? Will it replace the score on the last quiz that we took?
That's Rodney. That's why I'm giving it.
I mean, I'm just saying if it's higher or lower. I mean, I'm just.
All of it's higher, Rodney.
Wait, we're doing a quiz over the same thing from last time?
At some point today, because I got too many zeros.
Oh, well, I'm not doing it though, right? I'm not doing it, Professor. I got 100 on it. I'm not doing it again. I'm
It's
sorry.
optional because if that's the case, I got 100 on it too.
Yeah, because I got 100 and I don't need to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just.
Can it be for extra credit?
Oh.
Well, yeah, what Ashley said.
I like that.
But I have too many zeros on there now. Okay.
That's not everybody.
What? Aren't y'all?
We just have to be extra or something for the people who passed it the first time.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. Let's move on to getting this right, so y'all can get those exercises right next time. That will take care of itself at the end of class. Now, as we look at these journal entries, we have our stage 1 journal entries. We went over those last time. Are there any questions on the stage 1 journal entries? We bought the raw materials. We started the company, we bought the equipment. Then we went to stage 2, where we transferred raw materials in. It said transfer in 100,000 ink cartridges, 100,000 times 10. We paid the workers, they worked 152,000 hours. We paid them $10, $1,520,000. And then with that predetermined overhead rate of 4, that's when we use it. We multiplied it times those same labor hours, 152, to get to 608. So if you make a mistake on the POR, then this is incorrect. And a lot of things following that are going to be incorrect. because your costs are going to be off. So you need to, have that 4 correct. So that's what we do with the 4. We use it in stage 2 to estimate the manufacturing overhead that is going to be incurred. Are there any questions on stage 2 journal entries? Let's go down to accounts. And we're mainly concerned with the manufacturing one. We have the cashier and the equipment. I don't think we posted it yet. So this is where we bought $1 million in raw materials. We transferred $1 million in the work in process, so that left $100,000. Then the labor is here. Then here's the overhead. So the total cost in work in process is $3,128,000. Are there any questions? We were supposed to complete 50,000 books. We only completed 40,000. So we've got to transfer some of this cost out. But how much? In the assumption on job order, we're going to transfer out all of the labor and all of the overhead, transferring all of it out. But we only transferring out a portion of the raw materials because they will stay there. The laborers, the workers have been paid, so that cost is gone. And so it's the overhead. But since we completed 80% of the books, 40,000 over 50,000, that's 80%. 80% of the manufacturing costs will be transferred out. And so we add these costs together and we get $2,928,000. So going back to our journal entries, when we get to stage 3, we debit finished goods for $2,928,000 and credit work in process for $2,928,000. These journal entries stay the same. So somebody was asking about the Excel spreadsheet. You're changing numbers. Now, every now and then you may have to add another one in here or something. But in general, for what you're doing, these are the journal entries. You just got to put numbers in. Is that clear to everybody? So once we do that posting of the 2,928, the finished goods, we got 40,000 units. We now need an actual cost. So we divide 40,000 into 2,928 and we get 7,320 as our unit cost. 7,320 is our unit cost. Now, as we go back to journal entries, the next set of journal entries, first of all, include the record the sale of 30,000 books. So when we sell 30,000 books, that selling price that we determined way back in the beginning, 204, that's way back here. Maybe I can remember we had what, 68. 204, and we had the 4. So the 4 we've already used in this journal entry. Now the selling price we're using now. So we multiply 204 times 30,000 books sold, and we get 6,120,000. Then that unit cost we just came up with, 73.2, we multiplying that to get 2,196,000. When we post those, to our T accounts, the 2196 comes out, so left and finished goods is 732. And the 2196 comes down here below the line with the temporary accounts to cost of goods sold. Does everyone see the 2,196,000? Is there anybody who doesn't see the 2,196,000? And how we got it. So you got to come up here. Once you determine what cost you transferring in, you got to divide by 40,000, whatever this number is, to get the actual unit cost. So you can't use that 68 you have. You got to use what the actual costs are. Okay, so we're at 2,196,000 in cost of goods sold. Now, if you will remember, we estimated the overhead at 608. We debited work in process and we credited manufacturing overhead for 608. So that's how that credit gets in the manufacturing overhead account. We debited the estimated and we gonna credit the estimated overhead to manufacturing overhead. Okay, moving back to our journal entries. After the sale, we have to record the actual overhead. So we estimated it. So when we record this actual overhead, 160 for depreciation, 450 for other overhead expenses, it turns out to be 610,000. We estimated 608. It actually turns out to 610. So we underapplied. We did not apply enough. We did not apply enough. So going back to the T account quickly, we got 608 credit and 610 debit. We got to make this account come to zero. So we have to credit it, and we're going to put that cost in cost of goods sold. So this is the unadjusted cost of goods sold. This is the adjusted cost of goods sold. So you hear unadjusted, and now once we make that adjustment for the over underapplied overhead, it's adjusted. I don't restart. We have to estimate because we got to get a selling price, sell items, and you're just hoping you're close based on your analysis. At the end of the day, the overhead account has to come to zero. So going back to our journal entries, we apply the overhead, the over underapplied, and since we underapplied it, we debited cost of goods sold and we credited manufacturing overhead. We make an entry that will cause the T account to go to zero. And we said if we had estimated 615, then the accounts would be reversed. So if we had estimated 615 and it was 610, then we would be in that reverse situation down here. Well, here, the situation here, where we debit manufacturing overhead and credit cost of goods sold. So we would be up here if we over applied because cost of goods sold is too high. So that 5,000 scenario would have the accounts looking like this. But in our scenario, when we apply enough, so it's these two accounts, you just got to get them the right way. Either you debit cost of goods sold, crediting manufacturing overhead, or vice versa. You debit the manufacturing overhead, or crediting cost of goods sold. So it's not that big a deal. Then we have a couple other journal entries to make. selling expenses 20% of sales. So we just take 20% of sales, 6,128,000. We're gonna debit selling expense and credit cash. Administrative expenses is $1 million. Debit administrative expense, credit cash. Our dividends are 50,000. Debit dividends, credit cash. So these, entries are easy. All of these entries are easy. You only got kind of like 2 hard entries: how much you transfer in, then working with this overhead a little bit. But that is not the hardest of things to do. Next, we've got to prepare financial statements. So going from the T accounts, we would go to the trial balance and prepare these financial statements. We've got 2 statements to prepare: cost of goods manufactured, cost of goods sold. And you will note I already got the answers in. I already got the answers in. Why do I already have these answers in, Dominique?
Because you put them there as soon as you got them off of your journal entry or either your T account.
The answer to cost of goods manufactured is always what we transfer to finished goods. That's the answer to what cost of goods manufactured is going to be. For cost of goods sold, the answer is what's in the T account for the adjusted amount in the T account for cost of goods sold. So once you do your posting, you already have these statement amounts. How long will it take you all to put the rest of the information in on these statements, you think? Y'all working me too much today. Let's see.
I have a question. This part not gonna be on our quiz, like these journal entries and these T accounts and all this stuff. You're gonna give us some more practice on that before, right?
Well, that's why we practice it on the homework.
Okay.
So that's what the homework is just like this.
Okay, I haven't looked at it yet, so okay.
Homework is just like this. Except you got 2 raw materials, but the homework is just like this. That's why you're doing it. So you think you can do these statements? I can't. So what we'd do, we go to raw materials T account. It has $1 million purchased and 100,000 at the end. So you go to the raw materials. The beginning was 0. You purchase $1,100,000. The ending raw materials is 100,000. So the raw materials used in production is $1 million. So you get the top part of this from the raw materials T account, and then here's the $1 million in here. Then to come up with our labor and overhead, we're gonna go in here and lift these numbers out if they'll come. Copy. So they came too. So those 2 numbers just came right out. So our total manufacturing cost is gonna be what? Always raw materials, labor, and overhead. It's always that. 3,128,000. You see that number right here. At the beginning work in process inventory, we didn't have any. Subtract the ending work in process inventory. How much was the ending work in process inventory? How much is in the T account at the end, at the very bottom?
200,000.
200,000. So I think that equals that number. So every number in here comes off a combination of the work in process account and the raw materials inventory account. So you just look in there and pluck your numbers out, and you have those statements, the cost of goods manufactured statement done. Okay, we didn't have any beginning finished goods inventory. Go to cost of goods sold, cost of goods manufactured is going to be this number here. So we just bring that number down. Then we had a finished goods inventory in there at the end, right? So we'll have to go down to account, see if we can find that. Finished goods at 732 in it. Not that. I think it's supposed to be 732. So 732 is what was left in the T account for finished goods. And so when we go back to this statement, $732 from this equals what? Our unadjusted cost of goods sold, which should be what? $2,196,000. Is that correct? Then we unapplied 2,000. So we come back to that 2,198. So if you look in cost of goods sold, that's the 2,196,000 right there. And here's your 2,000, 2,198. So you can reach right in there and get those numbers. So several ways to do it, but they're right there in your T accounts. So these statements are not that hard to do. But you need to know how much you made and the unit cost for it, and then you're selling. Then with that, we can do an income statement, statement of retained earnings, and on and on and on. So just looking quickly at a statement of the income statement, sales less cost of goods sold gives us net income, less salaries and rent gives us the net income. So remember, these two numbers were those, those next to last two journal entries. The sales number is in that sales journal entry. Cost of goods sold is from the statement of the cost of goods sold. So are there any questions? Okay. What we have done at this point is to look at the entire statement. So what we want to do now is to look at those multiple choice we had. So we just sort of look at parts of the problem. Now we've been looking at parts of it. We've looked at how to calculate unit costs and all of that. We looked at that as a separate thing.
Professor Boyd,
Yes.
can you whenever you get a chance, can you please check your email? I sent you an email.
Okay. So let's look at these. So here we're gonna stop on looking at it in mass. You'll do that later. But we simply want to look at these multiple choice, just looking at a part of the process, and then plus get into cost of goods manufactured. So the first one, which of the following manufacturers would probably most likely use a job order system?
D.
So B, a shoe manufacturer, would probably do that because furniture, especially made, is going to be priced separately.
I chose C for the one to most likely not use it.
Not to use, so the word is not.
Yeah, I chose C. The
Yeah.
oil refinery.
Yeah, the oil refinery, because you can't keep track of oil. You can keep track of computers, furniture, and shoes, but you can't keep track of the oil. So they're most likely to use job order. In a job order accounting system, which account will be debited in recording a purchase invoice for raw materials?
Raw materials inventory.
Raw materials inventory, that's A. In a job order cost accounting system, which account will be debited in recording a transfer of raw materials to the manufacturing process?
I put
Work in
process.
That's work in process inventory, number D. Now we'll have a little calculation. The predetermined overhead rate is $5 per direct labor hour for job 213 required 300 direct labor hours, of which 200 were incurred during the current accounting period. How much overhead should be applied to job 213 during the current period?
I chose C.
Because we're just going to multiply what? 5 times 200. 5 times the current 200 hours. And that's how much we would charge this period. Okay, so see if you can work on this one. Everyone, you all should have this, so pull it up. I'm gonna pull off for just a second.
Professor,
Yeah, I'm getting
when I
ready.
submitted, I'm sorry. When I submitted this homework, I submitted the wrong assignment. Can you please reopen mine? I don't even know what happened.
Is that what you emailing me about?
No, I'm emailing you about something else.
All right. So direct materials used, direct labor applied, ending goods in process, ending cost of goods manufactured. What was the amount of direct labor? What are they trying to get you all to do? What are they trying to get you all to do?
And they want us to set up an equation and get the direct labor.
Mm-hmm. And what you told me to do was add everything up and subtract the cost of goods manufactured, and that should be your direct labor.
Let's just see if we can. I don't know if it's gonna paste or not. Undo. I was trying to put a T account in here. There's several ways to look at this. Since it wants to act up, let's come in here, take these out. Now, in work in process, you have, first of all, always a beginning balance.
Yes.
Then you have the raw materials that you bring in. So I'm just going to put RM. You have next the direct labor. You have estimated manufacturing overhead. And then you have the total cost for the period. You transfer out what's a good name for the cost of goods manufactured. So the ones that are completed, what did they use for that? Okay, so I use cost of goods manufactured. So costs manufactured are completed. And then you have your ending balance. Now, similar to retained earnings, in this problem, we're solving for the dividends. In this problem, you have all of these numbers except labor. So they're giving you all of these other numbers, and they're asking you to come back and now solve for the labor. So can we begin to put these numbers in?
Okay.
So it says the direct materials used was what, 100,000, right?
Correct.
Then the factory overhead applied was 40,000. The ending goods in process, they're saying
12,000.
12,000. And the cost of goods manufactured, that is what you sent out, was 200,000. So they didn't have a beginning amount. So the question is, if you have all of this information, can you calculate
The beginning good in process, is it?
did they have a beginning on it? Oh, they
It
did
said
have.
beginning goods in process
Yeah,
and
Okay,
then ending.
so they did have 20,000.
yes.
Okay. To whittle it down some, if the cost that we transferred out was 200 and 12 left, then the total cost must have been 212, right? Would everybody agree with that? If you transferred out 200,000 and you had 12,000 left, then this total cost number was what? 212,000. Can you get the labor now?
Yes.
How would you get the labor? Well, these numbers need to add up to
If
212.
you added up all, yeah, if you would have added up the original numbers and then it would have gave you 160 and then you subtract that from 212 and it gave you the 52,000. Because the 20,000, 100,000, and the 40,000 came to 160,000 minus the total cost, which would have been 212, which would have gave you 52,000 for the R.
Just
I mean
kind
for
of
the
a
DL.
problem to get you thinking about that working process accounting and how it's made up. And so rather than a regular thing where they, okay, which we'll get next, give you all the numbers and say, come up with the amounts, just to get you thinking about how this account works. They gave you every number except labor and said back into it. Are there any questions?
So
Now you can put it in the equation too, but I just put it in the T account fashion where everything was known except this number. Everything was known except that number. You had everything else. So you just work them around and get there. So think about that. Now let's move on to this problem where we have the work in process account again, but we have beginning balances, or we have all of, beginning ending balances for raw materials, work in process finished goods, and ending balances. Labor, overhead, sales, cost of goods sold, actual manufacturing overhead. And they want you to go through and make a range of calculations. Cost of goods manufactured, unadjusted cost of goods sold, adjusted cost of goods sold, and net income. I don't worry about it, loving that much. So can you make these calculations? So what I want you to do utilize this sheet to do it. So to answer those multiple choice questions, you're going to use those numbers and complete the cost of goods manufactured schedule, then the cost of goods sold schedule, and then the income statement. That's what I want you to do. And then you answer the multiple choice questions. So two things, you'll be becoming familiar with these statements and you get the multiple choice done. So it's giving you a way to get the multiple choice done. You have to put the numbers in. So is it clear what I want? Is it clear what I want you to do?
Yes, sir. You want us to take all those numbers off problem 5 and put them on the little chart, the Excel sheet, to answer the questions.
Does everybody have an Excel sheet?
I'm downloading it now.
Okay. So just get your, so you work with, so get your Excel sheet and work with it.
But ain't that was due today? Or no?
What's today,
Yes,
Tuesday?
it was.
Dominique says it was due, so I guess it was due.
I mean, Blackboard told me it was due this morning.
The black boy told yeah, that's why I did it this morning.
Well, it was actually due last Thursday. I moved it, so I guess they didn't notify you. But if you were checking, it was due last Thursday, and I moved it to Tuesday. So that may have been the reason for the late notification. But we're not worried about that. I'm worried about whether you can do the information now. So does everybody have everybody has this, right?
Somewhat.
I mean, do you have it or don't you? What do you need?
Yeah, the template is on Blackboard, right?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, I got the template. Yeah, I got that.
And the problem is in assignments. What is going to be the first number on this cost of goods manufacturer statement?
$100,000 for the raw materials beginning inventory, or the beginning balance rather.
So that 100,000 is going to be the first number. So next person, what's going to be the second number?
It's going to be the purchases, which is the raw material purchased, 1,200,000.
So the 1,200,000 is next. Does anybody have any question on those two numbers? All right, next person. What's the next number going to be on here?
$200,000 for the raw material inventory, ending raw material.
That's correct. 200,000. So what's the raw materials used in production? Next person, what's going on this line?
1,100,000.
Be 1,100,000. That sounds good. So all we're doing is pulling the numbers and putting them in.
$600,000. Right?
So what's our direct labor? 600?
600,000.
Okay.
Then you got 300,000 for prime manufacturing overhead.
So what's our total manufacturing cost?
Is it $250,000? Is it 250? No, that's not it.
900,000.
Now, see, y'all would think these ways. Here's a million, here's 600, here's 300. It's always three costs. You're always adding three numbers together to get the total manufacturing cost, not two numbers, all three. What's on the next line?
Is a work in progress inventory beginning 200,000?
That's correct.
Oh, finish is 300,000.
So what was our cost of goods manufactured?
1.9 million.
So can you answer all those multiple choice questions related to that now? Cost of goods manufactured is what?
D.
Do we say C or D?
D.
That's D.
D.
Okay, now we need a cost of goods sold statement. What's first number on cost of goods sold?
1.9.
Not the first number. That's the second number.
Oh, 1.6 million.
No.
It's 300,000 for the finished goods beginning inventory.
300,000.
400.
Now the 1.9 comes in. And what's the next number?
$400,000.
But what's the unadjusted cost of goods sold?
I put the 1,600,000, but I'm not sure if that was right.
No, I think the figures are wrong.
You remember I tell you some of those might not come out right, but
No,
yeah,
finished goods inventory.
unadjusted cost of goods sold, unadjusted, it's gonna be 1.9 plus 3 minus 4. So it looks like it's gonna be 1,800,000 to me, unadjusted. Okay.
Okay.
Beginning plus what was manufactured less the ending finished good gives you 1,000,008. So was that answer there?
It's 1.8, 1,800,000.
Right there.
Oh yeah, I chose it on the problem. I'm talking about on the worksheet. I
Oh.
chose it on the problem.
So you gotta be chose on the worksheet and the problem. What is our adjusted cost of goods sold?
$1,750,000.
Can you go back to why it's the unadjusted is 1,800,000?
Say that again.
Can you go over how the unadjusted cost of goods is 1,800,000?
Beginning inventory, 300. Cost of goods manufactured, 1,000,009. So that's 2,000,002.
Oh, okay, and then you subtract the unadjusted.
Well, the
Or I meant you subtracted the finished goods.
ending correct. You got a
Okay.
million. Okay, so let's go over here and look. The applied manufacturing overhead was 300,000. But the actual was 250. So what does that mean?
$1,650.
It's a $50,000 difference. So you subtract the $50,000 from the unadjusted cost of goods sold.
That's correct, because where's my information? Oh, I got it over here. In working with the problem, we had estimated the overhead was going to be $300,000. It was only $250,000, so that was too much. So we overapplied, we gotta subtract. So our adjusted cost of goods, so we are deducting the over applied. So the amount is going to be how much?
That's D.
Do we have an answer on that, D?
Yes, sir.
$1,750. Any questions?
I do, but it ain't about this. So what group am I in? Is because I know you say we're doing like different something like A, B. So when you were saying groups, you was breaking up, so I couldn't hear you.
Well, there are groups that we've been working in all semester.
Oh, the same. Oh, all right. Never mind.
Same groups, okay. I'm assuming you all can get the income statement, right?
Correct. I'm sorry.
I'm assuming you all can do the income statement. I'm gonna leave that to you all. Y'all gotta do something today. Make me work so hard. So we'll look at 11 and 12 next time. So these are just some to have you look at parts of the process. So you just look at those, they fit in the bigger picture, but you're just looking at parts of the process. Are there any questions?
Are we just taking the quiz for those who want to take it?
I guess so. But it's kind of a good idea to work on it, to work on it on a regular basis, because you make one mistake on your midterm, so just a hint to the wise. You make a mistake in those numbers, and you'll be under pressure then.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you have looked at the time, but I have another class to get to. So is class over because the time is past for class to be over? I mean, don't get me wrong, my other class is online, but I mean, I have another class.
So you can do 2 classes at once then, right?
Nah, I can't do that. What? What part of this is my senior year? I'm trying to end with a 4.0, baby. I can't be trying to multitask doing two classes at once. That's gonna distract me from the class I'm supposed to be paying attention to.
Yeah, I'm just loading the quiz up now.
Huh? Class over though.
Hey, sorry, I got a class right.
This is for these people who didn't get it done during the regular class period.
Dominique, you are something else.
I have a class right now.
I mean, class ended 5-6 minutes ago.
And we said we go over all it, not Dominique. So that quiz should be in there for
You have
those
to
who
help
don't
us.
take it. I can always practice it later, but it's the last chance. Is it in there?
No.
Hadn't showed up yet? They said I had success. Does anybody see it?
I see it.
Unit 3.
Yeah, yes, it's test 3.
I'm not gonna cap, Professor. I went to the restroom. What I just missed?
Yeah, I don't see the test either. And I'm at work, so I'm trying to hurry up and be able to complete it, but I don't see it.
I don't understand how some people can see it and others can't. Sometimes you may have to go out of Blackboard and come back in or something. So if you were in Blackboard, you have to go out and come back in.
So what did I miss, Professor? Went to the restroom.
There's a quiz in there.
Professor, as far as the exercise 10,
Did I put a quiz in there?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
As far as exercise 10, what now?
Quiz 2.
Said what now?
I only see quiz 2 in there, and it's not being graded. It's been in the grading thing, so I can't take it unless it's.
I don't understand what's going on.
Is that me?
Does everybody have it except him? Email me and I'll send it to you.
Is unit cost selling price pop quiz 3?
That's correct.
3?
Yes,
So,
3.
So it's under assignments. If you go all the way down to the bottom, you should see UC, SP, POR, attached file, unit 3 costs SP pop quiz.
You see it now.
Which one are we doing? As far as like which oh shoot, never mind.
You're doing one. You're trying to get some points. If you don't have the points you want, just work on one.
I don't even know what points. Where do you find the points from the last ones?
They're in course content on the grades.
Oh shucks, I'm scared to look.
Course content on the grades showing the results.
Okay, Professor, as far as the exercise that you assigned at the beginning of class, I just want to make sure that I understand that group 8 has exercise 8.
Is that what I said?
I just, I'm just trying to make sure because you said 7, they was leaders of 7, 8 had exercise 8.
A.
Okay, 8A has 8.
Yeah.
What does 8B have?
They got 9.
Okay.
And you in 8A.
Yes, sir. And our
Um,
groups is 1 and 2, right? Right, Professor?
Say that again?
For 8A is group 1 and 2, and then for 8B is 3 and 4.
Correct.
Okay, so make sure I got it.
And you in 8A, along with Dominique, the other people in your group are in 8B.
okay, sir. So I'm confused. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very confused. You want us to do that group assignment, and then you had gave us something else to do?
You have a quiz now, but that group assignment is due Thursday.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it. With the group assignment, we sort of grouped. So that would be a lead team to help out groups if they needed help.
Okay.